You too. I have this idea that you might be like, why is she in a summer top in the winter time? Well, this is a celebration. We are about 5 weeks away from springtime. And for some of us, this was like the coldest winter ever. We've been social distancing under a quarantine. We're dealing with this pandemic. It's the first time a lot of people have had to do a lot of different things as far as just staying home. And, shout out to the moms who are trying to work from home and be the teacher, and got to make the 3 meals in addition to the whole. I mean, it's been a very tough time collectively for America. But what I will say is, even though we're not past this pandemic, we're not past this situation, spring is only in 5 weeks, and that means that the sun is going to shine brighter, that the days are going to be longer, and there's always light at the end of the tunnel, people. There's always a better tomorrow, if you believe that there is. And I know statistically, wintertime is the time that people are the most suicidal, are the most depressed. Sometimes Christmases alone and these holidays, New Year's alone, and a lot of these holidays, can make people very depressed. Or if they are going through things, your immune system a lot of times is down in the wintertime. You're not able to get the sunlight that you need, all of these things. And so I want to wear this spring top to let you know that spring is right around the corner, and we have survived. We are still here. We're still alive, right? I had this thought the other day that Martin, I should have done this on Martin Luther King's birthday, but Martin was a patriot and Malcolm was a patriot. And a lot of people may think of Malcolm as a rebel. I mean, Malcolm seemed like, anti-establishment, and Malcolm was, he fought against America as seemingly, right? So people are like, Malcolm, how is Malcolm a patriot? I'm going to let you know that, in my opinion, Malcolm was one of the biggest patriots as far as our leadership that we can imagine, because he was unapologetic. He didn't filter his speech. He didn't sugarcoat anything. And he basically was diagnosing America as a very sick society. He addressed bigotry, addressed racism, and told America that if you want to heal, if you want to see a future, if you want your children to be able to have a good life in this country, you better make right your wrongs. To me, that's a patriot. To me, somebody that says, look, what you're doing is going to lead you down a very dark fate. It's inevitable by the way that you've abused people and the way that you've orchestrated this society and how corrupt you are. It's going to lead you to literal annihilation. Now, if you want the best for your future, you'll stop doing what you're doing. But a lot of people are a little bit too emotional, where they get caught up in the rhetoric and they get caught up in the disturbance of how that truth and that honesty makes them feel, rather than just extracting the message and saying, wow, this person's actually looking out for me. Like if I'm driving down the wrong road, right, and I know that there's a pothole down that same road, and I just got, my rims fixed and all of that stuff, and this pothole's like going to damage my entire vehicle, and somebody's like, hey, don't drive down this road. I don't care how they can say it with colorful language. They can use profanity. They can say it where it's offensive to me. It's abrasive. They could sugarcoat it. But the fact is that they're actually looking out for me, because they know that the damage that awaits me is ahead. And so that's the reason why Malcolm, to me, was one of the biggest patriots, because he gave America a formula on how to heal herself, how to right her wrongs. And I was very reluctant to tell this story. I was really reluctant to say this because I knew that it was going to make me look crazy. But I said, hey, I'm a musician. I'm an artist. I don't really care that much how people perceive me. And I come from a foundation of truth, of people, my father was a truth teller, and my heroes are the honest people. My heroes tell the truth regardless of what resistance may come. So I say, you know what? If I want to be a hero to myself, I can't just live, vicariously through my heroes. I have to exemplify the same characteristics that my heroes embodied for me to be my own hero. And my heroes were honest, despite how they may look, despite the resistance that came against them. And I've been so reluctant to tap into a victim consciousness because the kind of family that I come from is like, we believe in, so like on my mom's side, we're African, and generally, I'm making a generalization, but like Africans kind of come to America with a little bit of a different mentality. It's kind of seen as an opportunity, right? And I think a lot of foreigners can kind of understand this. I'm American, and I was born in America, but I have one side of me that is American on my dad's side, was born in Queens, New York, and then my mom was born in West Africa. And so I was raised by this very African parent with very African values. And one thing about our culture is kind of like one of those things like no excuses, which is why you may find that some Africans or some foreigners may tend to vote red, so to speak, may have ideals that are more aligned with what you may see as conservative, because when you come from a very poor country, or you come from a country where there are limited opportunities, and then you come to America, which is seen as the land of milk and honey. We know that there's more to it than that, but and I'm making a generalization, but they apply like do or die. Like they apply this, like they go really hard. There's no excuses, and I grew up in a household that no excuses really were allowed, like this idea of you make it, you make it or nothing. Like there's, if you got to work till you're blue in the face, you got to work till, like, that's kind of like, it's a very like tough kind of mentality. Like there's no room for weakness. And so I grew up with the mentality that like being a victim was kind of like one of the worst things, like you can't be a victim because it just screams weakness. And just the idea, even when we apply that to a lot of things, that are going on culturally. On one hand, yeah, of course it's legitimate, when you hear the people marching in the streets saying that their lives matter, and, that standing up against police brutality. I'm listening to Steel Radio, so I don't know what's going on with the music, but when you hear people, talking about, yeah, like this is really messed up, mass incarceration and police brutality and the corruption in Washington and the abuse of power, of course it's legitimate, of course. But on another hand, right, another group of people might analyze it. Why have you put yourself in this condition? Why are you still at the mercy of people who are unjust, right? And that's a question to go within, right? Individually, from an individual perspective, and then you can apply that same logic collectively. Why as a people are you still at the mercy of people who have been consistently doing you wrong, right? And so one may analyze that as like a commitment to a victim consciousness, right? But then that's a mentality that lacks compassion, right? So it's important when we're dissecting these issues to really have a balanced approach. And so what I will say is, it's freeing when you begin to recognize the strength, the bravery, the courage that you have within. And I say this to say that something happened to me, and I didn't want to talk about it publicly because I knew who I was coming against. I knew that these people had a lot more money than me. Specifically, this individual probably has at least 10 or 15 million, at least. A foundation, like is cool with the president, and I've mentioned some of this before, and has a lot of clout. Has been, a voter for pageants. Has been a person who has been able to vote for like the American Music Awards. Like has a lot of clout, and my desire to work for this individual was where I was mentally back then. And I'm blessed, right? I pray every day, and I'm very grateful that I've come to this better understanding. Very, very, very grateful that I've come to this better understanding that all of that stuff means nothing. And in DC, in this small 16-mile radius with so many powerful people, if you really knew what they've done to get that power, what they've done to get that wealth, you wouldn't want it. And that's again a generalization. There are people that work very hard for their money. There are people that work endlessly, and they work with integrity, and they are blessed to be able to have wealth. So that's a generalization. Not all rich people are corrupt, but a fair amount of them are. And so this individual who has a lot of power was, in my opinion, extremely abusive of his power. And to me, it was a lesson on my end, because there's an African proverb that says that what makes a man shame is also what makes a man mad. And so you would be surprised what people are willing to do when they're angry and they feel humiliated. It brings out a side of them that they literally want to destroy you. They want to annihilate you. And I was violated. Things occurred that I'm not going to go too much into detail about, but I was violated. However, rather than taking the victim consciousness, I have to take personal responsibility for it to some degree. Because why would you put yourself in a situation that you can be violated, right? And so I apply that same thought to, the slut walk and feminism and all of these things. Well, yes, there are men that have bad behavior. There are men that are violators. There are men that rape women. There are men that sexually assault women and all of these things. But as women, we have to also understand that we have to do our best to protect ourselves. That means don't put yourself in a bad situation, right? Don't be drinking and things like that, and not, and be dressed provocatively and, all of those things. So we have to really take a balanced approach. And I'm not making an excuse for men's behavior. I'm not making an excuse for that. But what I'm saying is we have to be victors, not victims. And part of being victorious is being able to recognize the error of your ways and move differently, right? And so I will admit that the way that I handled the situation was not the best response. I shouldn't have done it in such a public format. I basically humiliated this man to his colleagues, even though arguably he deserved it. I know that I'm not the only one, but I did it in a very public form. I did it in a very public fashion. And the rage and the fury that this brought up in this man made me his target, his enemy. And he has literally paid people. I mean, he knows people in, law enforcement, CIA, FBI, to literally first assassinate my character, and then like literally like I believe he's got a hit on me. And so there are people that have been paid to like assassinate my character. The rumors and the lies are unreal. One of the lies was that I was like a crackhead or like a drug addict. And they were like, well, basically it doesn't matter what is true. It just matters what people believe. Well, why is she slim? Not the fact that like I'm vegan, I don't drink, that I exercise like a lot every single day. Like in addition to, having like starting a health and wellness brand. No, she's on drugs, and the idea of someone being on drugs, well, number one, it demolishes their credibility, as far as what their incentive would be. It will distort a lot of things. And so that's one thing that they did. And this isn't anything new. This is something that they've continuously done. It's really a CIA, like a tactic, a FBI, like tactic that they will try to make it seem as if somebody is like on drugs or whatever. And then I heard that I was like, that I sold my body, which would be another tactic, because if this man who goes around sexually assaulting women, and I'm not the only one, it's been quite a few women, but if he can annihilate someone's character to say that they are for sale, then that would obviously chip away at their credibility as well. And so they basically try to take everything from me. There's a reason why I'm alone like 9 times out of 10. They've assassinated my reputation, assassinated my character. A boyfriend that I had at the time, they took, I mean, nobody really can take anybody away from you, but the rumors didn't help, just basically like assassinating my character, and have actively been really trying to destroy me because they had a financial incentive. They were paid off to do these things. So I say this to say what? Well, I'm telling my story, number one, to understand that all the things that meet the eye aren't always what they seem to be. But also to draw strength from the people that have come before me, the Martins and the Malcolms, and the people who have endured a lot, the people who have come up against a lot of resistance, the people who have had targets on their back, the people who've had their names tarnished and their characters assassinated for various reasons, and understand that this is truly a part of my test. How can I say that I am the hero if I didn't have the antagonist? If this is my movie and I'm the protagonist, then there has to be an antagonist. There has to be a villain, and in order for you to understand your power, or in order for you to understand what you are here to do, sometimes that's going to get tested. Sometimes who you say you are is going to get tested. And so how do you view it? Do you allow these things to destroy you? Well, you develop the mentality, which is what I've developed, is, hey, if somebody is so willing to believe something, right, which is the masses, then maybe that's not the company that I need to keep. I need very strong-minded people around me. I need people who are loyal around me. If somebody can be bought, where I'm going, that's not going to be a good thing, So you flip it and you use it towards your favor. No matter what the resistance is, no matter how heavy the attack is, you can always use it to your favor. And the biggest thing that this whole thing has done is it has refined me, and it has made me more reliant on the Almighty, more reliant on Allah than ever before, because the mentality I've adapted is, who could be against you? Who could be against you? Doesn't matter how much power these people have, what their title is, who could be against you if the Almighty is for you? And sometimes you're going to be put in situations that are going to test your faith. And the whole purpose of it is for you to become more reliant. more dependent on your creator. And so it's okay. I say, look, if people want to believe things that are false about me, that's okay. Bottom line is, how does Allah see me? How does the Most High see me? He knows the truth. He's been there with you from day one. So how does he see you? And that's really the only filter that we really should have. Until next time, peace.